Great music. I'm very well, and you, Charlie, you're looking very regal.
No, because every day you come and sit here, you spoil the show.
No, but you should have told me.
That's why we didn't tell you.
It's not fair. It's not fair.
So how are you doing?
Very well.
Fantastic. Of course, we're still in Heritage Month.
Yes.
And enjoying all things heritage as well. This week is a can week. Yeah, so
and I'm a can, which is why you should have told me.
Well,
I come with my everything all set. Then I'll match you boot for boot.
Well, anyway, another time. But today we want to talk about anemia.
Yes.
And anemia. First of all, what is it? Okay. And then how much of a problem is it within Ghanaian space?
So let me start with the second question, because it's Heritage Month. We are discussing Ghana, and anemia is a very Ghanaian problem.
Wow.
As we speak now, 60% of our children under 5 are anemic.
Oh, wow.
And 42% of our reproductive age women are anemic.
Hey.
Which means that even the children yet to be born are coming through anemic mothers, which most likely means that they are going to be anemic from the womb to the outside, enjoying the 60% who are already anemic. So it's a problem that's going to be compounded if we don't do anything about it. So it is a Ghana problem that we really need to do something about.
Per literature,
yes,
how common is anemia globally?
So globally, the number is a bit smaller. So about 45% of children under 5 are anemic. But in Ghana, like I mentioned, 60. In fact, the actual figure is 62%.
Okay.
So it's a global issue, but more so in our
It doesn't sound good at all.
Yes.
What are we doing wrong?
Well, there's a socioeconomic component to anemia, you see. So let me start by defining anemia. So anemia basically refers to your inability, or you don't have enough red blood cells to carry oxygen. And oxygen is the fuel that every cell in your body is going to burn to produce results. So from your brain to your eye, to your fingernails, to your hair cells, to your toe, everyone depends on oxygen.
Okay.
So if your body is not able to carry enough oxygen around, so you kind of have a similar situation like we have right now with the CD depreciation, because there's a problem with supply and demand. So there's oxygen in the atmosphere, but there's not enough carrying capacity. So the cells are going to struggle to meet their optimum requirements, and so you are going to underperform in every regard. So oftentimes, and when we're in school, we used to have this joke. Oftentimes, a lot of parents beat their children for not performing well in school, for sleeping in class and not paying attention, etc. And it's really because they are not functioning at the optimum level, because they are not carrying enough oxygen around. And I mentioned that there's a socioeconomic aspect. So nutrition is a major player when it comes to anemia, because you need to eat the iron. Iron is the element in the food we eat, like kontomire and some of the other green foods. When you eat enough iron, your body is able to absorb the iron and then make use of the iron to produce hemoglobin. So hemoglobin is that molecule in the red cell that actually carries the oxygen. So if you don't have enough iron in your diet, which means you're not eating well enough, you're not going to produce enough hemoglobin. And if you don't have enough hemoglobin, it means that you cannot carry enough oxygen to supply what the body requires. And so it means that at any point in time, there's a deficit, which means you're going to function at a lower level than expected. And typically, I don't know about you, but when we were in school, especially primary school, and we had exchange students come into our school, or people who were visiting and they came to the school, you met somebody who is your age, and they always tended to be bigger than you are. They were bigger in bulk, they were taller, even though if you look at their parents are not necessarily that big, you see. So it was quite obvious when we were growing up. I don't know the situation now, but back in the day, it was very obvious. Every time your cousins visited from
they're always bigger.
They're always bigger.
The cousins are always taller, they're bigger, you're like, what they say, Abrochin, Adrianini are different, and I say Framani are different.
Which is true, because they are able to, they have a higher earning capacity, so they're able to afford more of the correct food, in terms of the fortified foods, or the organic foods and all of those things. We tend to believe that our foods in Ghana are organic, but it's actually not the case. A lot of the food we are eating, a lot of the food we are eating is not as organic as it should be, because we are using a lot more chemicals in our food production cycles. Recently there was a news article about how palm oil in the market, significant amounts of toxins in there. So imagine, even the foods that we thought were healthy are also not healthy. So even in our quest to eat well, how do you know that the food you're eating is actually of good quality? So there are a lot of challenges that we are dealing with, and it reflects or it manifests in anemia. You know, so it is a big deal in Ghana, really.
Wow, wow. And okay, so let's zero into, like, let's say an individual.
Okay.
How does one, first of all, identify that you have an anemia, and then what do we do to fix that?
Okay, so for some people, so let me divert just a bit.
Sure.
So apart from nutrition, other cause of anemia could be infection. Malaria also causes significant anemia, and then genetics. People who are sickle cell also tend to have anemia. So an individual could be anemic as a result of nutrition, or as a result of infection, or as a result of genetics. So
when you say malaria,
yes,
is it the malaria as in Plasmodium falciparum, or is it the medication?
Okay, so it's the malaria parasite, the Plasmodium.
Yeah.
During the life cycle of the Plasmodium, when the mosquito bites you and injects you with the Plasmodium parasite, in the cycle of that parasite, it enters into the red cell and it actually breaks up the red cell. As it grows, it breaks up the red cell to release more, you know, of the pathogen. You know, and that process, if it's significant, if it's severe enough, will cause noticeable anemia. In fact, some people get malaria and they get yellowing of their eye, jaundice, as a result of this process. You know, there's also some liver component as well. Wow. So malaria is a major player when it comes to this anemia discussion. Other infections as well, but malaria is one of the biggest. You know, so an individual would know they have anemia by some signs and symptoms. So, for instance, if you suddenly notice that you are not able to go longer distance and then you start panting, we call it reduced exercise tolerance. So you are breathing faster just for a short distance. You know, your heart is beating faster as well. You know, palpitation. That's what I mean. You are getting dizzy. You know, because just for a short duration of exercise or short duration of work, you are not able to tolerate all of those things. Those are some of the early signs of malaria of anemia. Then you have the cause. If that this anemia symptom is as a result of, let's say, malaria, obviously you have the fever, the headache, and the vomiting. But those ones are not primary symptoms of anemia. We also have our women in particular who tend to shed blood every month, you know, as part of their menstrual cycle, you know, and already 42% of them are already anemic. So if at the end of every month they are going to lose some more blood, it's going to compound their anemia as well, you know. And so if they are not able to replace the iron stores and live and eat healthier, you know, to boost up the iron stores, it's going to cause problem. Again, another issue with women is, specifically is childbirth. Because our family planning penetration is still challenging, women are giving birth more frequently, which means that after one pregnancy, they don't recover fully, and then they are pregnant again. You know, so they themselves are anemic as a result of the frequent pregnancies, and the children they are giving birth to, because the women did not replenish their stores, their children are also anemic even from birth. You know, so that's a major issue. Then we have our men. Men don't tend to be anemic often. However, the commonest cause of anemia in men, if you remove cancer and other sinister causes, is actually hemorrhoids.
Oh, really?
Yes, hemorrhoids.
Wow.
And it's interesting. So because hemorrhoids you'll be bleeding small for a long time, and you know the body is not. It gets to a point the body is not able to replace it. You know, so so if you notice a man with anemia, you want to check for that, and then of course check for. I mentioned cancer. So cancer is also a major cause of anemia. So if you have checked everything and you still cannot explain what the cause of the anemia is, you need to look for cancer somewhere. You know, and so anemia it might be because it's so common, we don't regard it. You know, because people just think that mojedro is when your appetite is low. But mojedro is not for appetite. It's actually to help replenish your iron stores. But at this, I must also say that mojedro, taking blood tonic constantly is not a good idea. It's better to actually eat your iron. Well. So eat well, you know, because there's a lot of iron around us.
What would those foods be typically?
I mean, generally, a general rule of thumb is that green colored foods are rich in iron. So that's a general rule. You can't go wrong with kontomire. all those greens, they are rich in iron. You know, so if you are anemic, whilst you are trying to take the blood tonics, go for your kontomire. People always ignore the kontomires, and they are always going for all these exotic iron blends. And vitamin C also helps with iron absorption. So your fruits especially, you know, if you take enough fruits, vitamin C sort of binds with the iron and makes it easier for the body to absorb. So vitamin C is a very key player. So that's why if you're anemic and you go to hospital, they tend to give you the blood tonic as well as vitamin C, or a multivitamin which contains vitamin C. So that's the trick. So don't just take the iron supplements, add vitamin C to it as well. And the most important thing is to try and find out what is causing the anemia, because if the cause of the anemia is still there, treating it is kind of like pouring water into a basket. You are literally wasting money.
Okay.
You know, so don't just be treating yourself by repeatedly going to the pharmacy and buying blood tonic. Get to know what is causing the anemia. For some people, I've met patients who the first time they were diagnosed as sickle cell was when they were in their teens.
Oh, wow.
Yes, because yes, and I've actually met a 20-year-old who was now being diagnosed because nobody.
This is interesting.
Yes, nobody actually paid attention to what she was going through. You know, until there was a general screening and it was picked up. You know, so it's something that we all need to pay attention to very much.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Dr. Kelvin Owusu. Dr. Kelvin Owusu is the head of occupational health and wellness with Claron Health International. How can people get in touch with you?
You can find me on social media, Kelvin Owusu MD.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so before we go, just a quick reminder to you that the Easter Orphan Project is happening, and of course on the Monday, the 18th of April 2022, we're going to go to help feed, support and maintain the orphans at Basco and other institutions as well. So you can contribute. You send your mobile money contribution to 0550-900006. All right. You can also write out a check to the City FM Foundation and send it to us here at the front desk. All right. So that's it for the Easter Orphan Project. We've done Basco, very much what we did there with the 30 bed dormitory for the girls, and that was a fantastic project we did. But we need to sort out water issues, electricity issues, security issues and all of that there. So we're coming back to you to ask you again to support and help us this Easter. We're going to go back there.